With Genshin's success to become the biggest gacha game by revenue, it is proven that the gacha game industry is no different from regular game industry. Content is king, and if you make a good game, you will be able to get more money from your players. In my previous video, we talked about one possible Genshin-killer, a term used to mean an upcoming gacha game that could take over Genshin as #1 gacha game by revenue. But after researching this video, I'm sorry Project Mugen, but I think Wuthering Waves have a bigger chance of being the Genshin-killer. One of the first things I noticed about this game is not in the game itself, but how the developers are very open to player feedback. I've never seen any gacha game developers just straight up said, "Tell us what you think and you're welcome to leave your ideas or suggestions in the comment section of this video." That kind of candid behavior is just unheard of in this industry. Sure, we sometimes get behind-the-scenes videos where the developers talk about their work, but it's mostly a corporate showcase of their competence rather than an invitation to start a friendly conversation. It's more often that we players felt not being listened to or straight up ignored by these game companies. For Kuro Games, this seems to be the norm. Even back in their previous game, Punishing Grey Raven, they were making rapid changes according to player feedback during their beta tests. And for Wuthering Waves, they decided to change the art asset and rewrite everything in the story according to player feedback in the previous beta tests. And as a result, the game looks even better than before. I guess nobody knew that being humble and open to player feedback made the game better, right? Of course, financially, it is a sound decision because they know they will be going directly against Genshin. Spending an extra $100 million on development right now can be recouped easily if they manage to get to Genshin's income numbers at launch. As they have learned from their previous game, the first launch impression matters a lot. They have to do it right the first time or they will waste everything. I do hope that this willingness to listen and make changes from player feedback will continue after the game is launched. Because for me, this positive attitude alone is enough to make me very eager to try out this game and support their work. And I believe a lot of players do share the same sentiment. Now let's talk about the world building in this game. Every gacha game starts with a high concept, and Wuthering Waves is no exception. It is a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by some mysterious force themed around sounds and music. You can clearly see this in the visual effect and UI designs. This is also why the game is called Wuthering Waves. The abilities are called Concerto and Resonance, and the playable characters are called Resonators, each having this sound wave symbol on their body. But again, high concept alone doesn't sell games. Ideas don't sell games. It's always the execution of your ideas that makes or breaks a game. How will the developers translate that world-building concept into the gameplay, the story, and the world design? How does the high concept translate into the game's internal theme? And more importantly, how deep can the game explore this high concept? Those questions will definitely be on my mind once I get my hands on this game. Regardless, I think they succeeded in creating a sense of wonder and mystery in the world itself, which is very important for a fantasy open-world game. My personal favorite is the Upside Down Sea, which kinda reminds me of a passage in the first chapter of Genesis, the water above the firmament, which is a very cool concept for a fantasy series. As for the story, I think it's a little bit too early to dive deep into it, but like Project Mugen, I have some concerns about their writing direction. Looking at the trailer clips, I think the first conflict in this game will be against humans using the powers of monsters. That does tell a lot about how the story will be written. It will probably be about protecting the peace of the current civilization from these villains, and you'll discover the secrets of this world one by one. For the gameplay, I think it's no surprise that Kuro Games decided to embrace what they learned in Punishing Grey Raven and expand it in Wuthering Waves. They are just undoubtedly the industry experts in making fights in games look cool without causing you to be nauseous. The only difference is that now it's an open world game. The primary emphasis in development is always about combat, where every combat is a constant flow of attacking and dodging attacks, choosing which combo to pull off, while switching between party members to trigger character-specific QTE attacks, just like in Honkai Impact. The ecosystem, however, that one surprised me the most. It's a game mechanic where you can steal enemy abilities for yourself and incorporate it into your own combo. One of the examples given is to use this stolen ability to parry and stun the enemy. That is so cool. Honestly, this ability stealing mechanic should be used in more games. It's just such a very cool concept. That being said though, I heard there is luck involved in getting these echo abilities with substats similar to Genshin's artifact's substats. That is a massive turnoff for me personally. I'm pretty sure I'm not the first person to point this out if they made a specific portion to address this concern in this very scripted video. They promised to make it easier to get the echo, but that's not exactly the problem, isn't it? The problem is that this RNG system will make min-maxing your build a pain in the butt. And I cannot stress this enough. The biggest pain about Genshin's artifact is that there is no way to control which substats you got. In this example, this person is trying to get the right artifact for Xiao, which requires a specific combination of main stat and substats. But because the types of stats are so varied, the odds of getting that combination is 1 in 10,000. And remember that you can only have up to 8 tries per day to get this artifact, meaning that according to this graph, there is a 75% chance of not getting that artifact after doing this every day for a whole year. Oh, not to mention all kinds of additional bullcrap RNG, like the 50-50% chance of getting the right artifact with every try, or that the substats numbers can vary in different tiers. Oh, and don't forget that you need 5 artifacts for every character. The point is, I doubt Wuthering Waves ecosystem will be this bad, but now at least you understand why I'm done with any bullcrap gear RNG. This is also why I am not even planning to play Honkai Star Rail, even though that game looks awesome. But otherwise, it seems that Wuthering Waves might be a top contender in the Genshin-killer lineup, and it is shaping up to be the game that I would love to try once it's... oh... well, that's disappointing. Let's talk about my concerns, the problem with timers, and artificial difficulty. My first concern is how do they make different characters feel unique? From the gameplay trailers, all characters seems to be designed to hit enemies in a cool way, and there is no dedicated class like healer or tank. So, is the difference between characters only in the fancy attack animation and the DPS numbers? Or is it going to be deeper with how you can combo different characters together? We just have to wait and see as they keep improving the game, I guess. Speaking of combos, oh boy, there is an elemental system in this game too. I hate the elemental system in any game because... let's just play this clip from my Enfield's analysis video. Again, my problem with the elemental combat system is that at its skill ceiling, it turns everything into a pure numbers game. Combine X and Y and you get Z% more damage. Its sole existence is to just multiply your damage. You don't even need to change to another reaction. You just repeat the same reaction over and over and over again. But after reading this discussion in their subreddit, a lot of people rightly point out that the elemental system is so much worse than just causing pure numbers game. It's a marketing tool designed so you have to have multiple teams of different characters to deal with different enemies. So not only that you have to pull for different characters, you also have to endure the grinding required to max them out. They already did this with Punishing Grey Raven, where late game enemies require you to have multiple teams to deal with different enemy damage type resistance, otherwise you won't be able to clear them. In the next section of this video, I will explain that power creep from artificial difficulty is inevitable for all gacha games, so eventually you will be forced to get those characters. So keep this in mind for every upcoming gacha game that features an elemental system. And my last concern is about that timer, and we need to talk about natural and artificial difficulty. Natural difficulty is a difficulty that arises as a logical consequence from the combat design. Every combat system has its own natural difficulty set by the developers. They can set the game to encourage a certain playstyle that fits the game best. For Wuthering Waves, they can tweak the damage dealt by the enemies and make healing difficult to encourage the players to learn to dodge and parry. You can easily measure the natural difficulty of any game using these simplified questions. Pause the video if you want to read them. The main reason why it is fun is because every challenge can be solved by just get good. You can learn about the game mechanics and practice to master it. On the other hand, a timer is an artificial difficulty. It is a challenge that doesn't come from the mechanics in the fight. Rather, it comes from the game designers putting in an additional challenge in the form of time limitation or DPS checks. But it's not inherently bad. In an ideal world, a time limit could be used to motivate the players to master all combat mechanics to produce maximum DPS. And DPS checks can be used to signal the player, "You're not strong enough, go explore the world to get more powerful." But in practice, gacha games often only allow you to pass that DPS check by grinding to get better gear or by pulling more powerful characters that can scale well into the late game. There is no other way to get good. Again, this is the case for the previous game, Punishing Grey Raven. And that grind is another problem on its own. As I said in the Project Mugen video, can this combat system still feel fun when you have played it for 10,000 hours? Sure, this boss fight is cool and challenging the first time, but if you have to do it every week to get materials, it will get kinda annoying. This is called the curse of gacha repetition. You either make the battle so easy that you don't need any brain cells to do it, or allow the player to skip the battle in the future. They have to choose one. So, in summary, I love almost everything about Wuthering Waves. Its world, its characters, and its art style. But I have serious doubts that the combat will feel good in the long term. Luckily, the developers are actively listening to player feedback, so I hope they watch this video because I want them to succeed. I want them to become a Genshin-killer. But notice, Wuthering Waves will live or die from how grindy its progression will be and how engaging the combat system after 10,000 hours. Until then, I guess we just have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys think about this video. Are you hopeful for Wuthering Waves? Have you been to any of the closed beta tests? Share your opinions and let's talk about it in the comment section down below. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. And with that, I think I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.